So the lab broadly focuses on the role of genetics and environments and their interaction and the role that they play in psychiatric disorders. We've historically looked at the role of DNA methylation as well as developing DNA methylation or epigenetic biomarkers that can predict psychiatric disorders or treatment course, et cetera. We're taking a slightly different view of this and looking at polygenic risk scores, which aggregate genomic risk for a specific disorder, and looking at their interaction with environments to seeing if they predict specific outcomes in women's mental health. So more specifically, we will be looking at gene by environment interactions and their role in perimenopausal psychosis symptoms, as well as the interaction between these polygenic risk scores and ovarian hormones in psychosis, as well as binge eating. So when students start out in the lab, I'm a lot more hands-on with them. But as you progress through the program, I try to step back more and more because, my goal by the end of the program is to get you to be an independent researcher. And if I'm constantly involved, you can't be independent from me. So I step back to give you that chance to see what you can do on your own. So because the lab is a completely dry lab, I run it a little differently than I think how wet labs are run. Because we don't have experiments that you need to be in person for, my only request for students is that they allot 1 hour a week for a one-on-one meeting with me during business hours, as well as 1 to 2 hours a week for lab meetings. So each trainee has a dedicated 1 hour per week that they meet with me. But typically those meetings start out with my asking, how is everything going in a general sense? And I do this to see how you're mentally doing, right? Graduate school is hard. And so I want to see how you're handling that. But also it helps me set expectations for what your progress should be. I will lower my expectations for what I expect you to accomplish research-wise. After we have that discussion, we then go into the specifics of whatever project you're working on, where depending on what stage you are, you present results, we go over writing. Our projects are primarily data analysis driven. So typically the rule is if you touch the data and contribute meaningfully to answer the question, the scientific question, then you will get authorship. But before a project begins, we usually sit down and have questions about who is going to be what author in what place. And we may revisit that over the course of the project. I think one of the benefits of being in my lab, right, is you will get a ton of data analysis experience. And that is a skill that will translate to pretty much any job you would like to do. One, because it gives you this tool set that can be applied to a number of things, but also in doing data analysis, you pick up on a lot of critical thinking skills as well as innovation. So I know first year is very hard or can be hard for genetics students. Research on top of this, plus for some of you actually doing a TA-ship as well. I think the first year, I don't have super high expectations. I just want you to get familiar with, the projects going in the lab, as well as starting to do some of the reading of foundational literature on what may eventually be your project, as well as starting to just play around with some data sets you might work with to get familiar with.